Welcome to another episode of the Waffle Shop podcast. Today, I'm joined by someone who's practically part of the furniture now in here.
Yeah, very
It's
true.
the director and founder
Yep.
of Against the Odds, and now a co-host of Against the Pods,
Yep.
Aaron Abbott.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to the Waffle Shop.
Thank you very much for having me, mate. It's good
Finally.
good to be back. Yeah, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good, thank you. Exciting. So I've only just finished my full-time job, and I'm now full-time and Against the Odds as of this week. So yeah, exciting, mate. How you been? You good?
I'm good. It's a bit of a rocky week.
Yeah.
We were just kind of saying like before we hit the record button. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I feel like it's that time, isn't it, where you feel like I don't even know how to describe it. I want to say like I'm overwhelmed, but in a good way.
Yeah.
It's like all these kind of things that are happening.
Yeah.
Like a year ago, we were probably sat in a room thinking, "Oh, I wish I could do that."
Yeah.
And now we're doing them.
Yeah.
It's
Now
mental.
you're probably doing more than them.
Yeah, now I'm knackered. But it's weird though, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
mate. I know the
surreal.
feeling. I know the feeling. It's obviously for the last 18 months, 2 years, I've had to balance full-time job with getting Against the Odds off the ground, and then obviously I've got my little one as well, Cassidy. So it's been it's been massively challenging, mate. But to come out the other side now and give up 12 years of recruitment and be full-time on Against the Odds and have the podcast going and have sort of an ESG thing going into corporate clients and the awareness club and the away kit. It's got loads going on, bro. It's just
I don't really know.
just crazy.
Do you feel ready now though?
Yes. It's a really difficult one, mate, because it's a difficult area to work in because, and I don't want to get so deep so early on, but I mean, when I first initially thought about doing the business, I spoke to a few directors of different companies and they said, just be careful because when you're working in lived experience in an area like gambling addiction, which has higher suicide rates than any others, you've got to be very careful with like the content that you put out and how you put it out and how you word things. And I've had to adjust to that because, I mean, you know me and I'm quite sort of, I don't even know how I describe myself.
Well, you're not shy.
No, I'm not shy, but yeah, sometimes I can get a bit carried away and a bit passionate about things. So yeah, it took me a while to adjust to how I articulate myself around the industry and addiction and things like that. But yeah, I think I'm
Getting there.
Getting there,
It's all a learning process. Isn't
yeah,
it?
of course.
I do start each one of my shows with something called the Weekly Waffle. That's quite frankly something that's pissed me off. And then once I've spoken about it, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't make me feel better, but you got to try. So what's pissed me off this week in particular is board games and board game rules. Because for some reason, my brain does not compute like rules of games or like card games, and I have to be told like 3-4 times.
You have to have the walkthrough.
Yeah.
Mate, it's mad you've said that.
I don't know what it is. I avoid Monopoly. Like, I think the only like game I would actually play is Connect 4.
Mate, my missus will watch this and think we've set this up on purpose.
Really?
Because every
She's
time...
here to... She's behind the curtain.
Completely know what you mean, mate.
Yeah.
I've been away with the missus' family before, and they're teaching me like Jamaican Ludo and things like that, mate.
What was a Jamaican Ludo?
It's different to normal Ludo, and
Or even normal Ludo.
I know, mate. But I'm just like, they'll go around the table and it gets to me, and everyone's like, still don't know the rules. Like, mate, I know exactly what you mean.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, I know.
It's a lot of pressure.
And it's card games and board games. But she'll say like, should we get the Monopoly board out? I'm thinking, fucking hell, no. Oh, am I allowed to swear or not?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
I'm thinking, fucking hell, no.
I mean, there's a lot worse been said on this. Believe me.
But constantly, mate, if we ain't got anything to do, should we play Monopoly? So go to, and I'm just like, oh, please, no. Even when the mum and dad are around at Christmas, and she says, should we play Monopoly?
No.
Mum and dad are like, no, we get off to bed. Anything to not play
What's that,
board
4
game.
o'clock in the afternoon? Now I'm going to bed.
But yeah, I do.
I know, I appreciate
resonate
that,
with that,
actually.
mate. I
Okay,
do.
that I feel validated
Yeah,
now.
no, I definitely
appreciate
do.
that. I've
Definitely.
been holding that one in for a while because I didn't want to come across as a bit of a div. But no, that makes me feel better. Thank you.
Good.
Is there anything you want to get off your chest today?
I've got 2 things that are extremely one's extremely random.
Okay.
Number one, the first thing that does my head in, and it's happened twice this week, is when you open a door for someone, or you step to the side to let someone through, and they just walk past.
Do you do that sarcastic?
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. You're welcome, yeah. All the time, mate. Every time it happens, I do it. It happened twice, not yesterday, day before.
Yeah.
And I thought,
You almost want, and I would never condone violence, but you almost want to like drag them back through the door and then close the door.
On them.
Yeah.
Yeah. My other one was slightly odd. V-neck T-shirts.
Yeah. Okay.
V-neck.
Yeah.
You wearing one?
No, I'm not wearing a V-neck t-shirt.
Um,
I've never wore a V-neck t-shirt.
I just don't understand them, mate. They make no sense to me at all. Just round it off.
Yeah.
Round neck's fine.
But you can't wear it with anything.
No.
Like you wouldn't, like if you looked at a shirt and you had the same V as the shirt, it would look.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Top Man tees that everyone used to wear?
Yeah.
We're similar age,
I never had one though.
I
think
I did.
The threads were different colour.
Oh,
yeah.
mate, them ones, yeah. And they'd have short sleeves.
Yeah.
And, oh, bro.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my pet peeves are people not saying thank you when you let them past.
Yeah.
And V-neck T-shirts.
Did you have a Rihanna t-shirt? It'd be rude for me to have you on here and not talk about Against the Odds.
Yep.
I've been a big fan of this from the day I think we connected on LinkedIn. I was just like, right, this is not necessarily up my street, but it's anyone who's kind of been through something and turned the pain into purpose for me.
Yeah.
I'm just like, got nothing but respect for. I want to dive back quite a bit to the beginning. And obviously you're very open about your gambling journey and like the addiction side of things.
Yeah.
Going back, can you remember like when it started?
Yeah. 16 at college.
Well, okay, so that early.
First year of college, yeah. Two mates that I used to play rugby with said, we're going to bookies at lunch. And strangely enough, there's always a bookies near a college, which doesn't make much sense.
No.
Because you've got 16, 17-year-olds mostly at college, and 18-year-olds, but still. And I went in, put £5 into a roulette machine when I was 16. I had like a beard in year 10, and so I looked old enough. Put £5 in the roulette machine, lost it. Remember being really angry because I just thought I shouldn't be in here for one. Lost a £5. I know £5 is not much, but
but back when we were like 16, that was actually quite a bit of money.
You could do a lot more of it than you can now.
Yeah.
And then as I was walking out, I seen like a group of older men in the corner of the room filling out accumulators, which is obviously a big long list of all the football matches. And there's 3 boxes: home, away, draw, home, away, draw. And I just watched over this guy's shoulder for a couple of minutes of what he did, like how he writ his stake and all that stuff. And because I was a massive Villa fan, I had a season ticket at Villa. I used to buy FIFA every year. I used to play Football Manager. I was quite knowledgeable about football. So for my roulette doesn't really work for me. I don't even know how to play it, but I'd be quite interested in football betting. So then I'd take the slips home because there was no online betting back then, and started doing like £2 a week on 10 teams or something. Second year of college, something called EMA came out. You ever heard of that?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Which is,
We used to have to get like, it was like £30 a week or something. Yeah.
I think it was education maintenance allowance it stood for.
Yeah.
And if your parents didn't meet a certain financial threshold, effectively, all you had to do was turn up at college, you make sure your attendance was bang on, and every Friday they put 30 quid in your account. And then you got 2 bonuses, 100 quid at Christmas, 100 quid at Easter, I think it was. In the second year, I would make sure I'd go to every lesson. I'd go and get the 30 quid out at lunchtime, and I'd put the 30 quid straight into the roulette machine.
Wow.
And then I'd just do a £30 spin, because you could do, can't remember what the total stake was then, it's completely changed now, but so I'd put like 2 quid on 5, my birthday, 2 quid on 15, my brother's birthday, 2 quid on 14, my mum's birthday, and then just put the rest anywhere. For some reason, I never had another go. So let's say I won 72 quid, I'd take it straight away and go. If I won 35 quid, so I won a £5, I'd take it and go. If I lost it, I'd just walk out. I didn't really care because it weren't my money.
Yeah.
From there, I went to university. So when you transition from further education to higher education, when I do my sessions with football clubs and colleges, etc., I say that you get met with 2 Fs. So that transition, you get more finance, more freedom. More finance because you've got student loans coming in, maintenance, grants, part-time job. More freedom because people tend to go away and you haven't got parent, guardian, loved one saying, where you going, who you going out with, what time you back. And for me,
it's adulthood, isn't it? No one can really tell you what to do as an adult.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it makes sense.
For me, it wasn't very good, the finance element. So student loan coming in, maintenance grant coming in. I worked at the Manor Hotel in Meriden, so I had a part-time job as well. And I just started gambling on things I had no idea about. Whether that be the Kenyan police force against Nairobi, Fenerbahce's volleyball team against Galatasaray. But what I was effectively doing is because I had more money than I'd had before, I'd want the buzz of having a bet on.
Yeah.
Don't know why. I'd always want to be able to look at my phone and think, half an hour left, I could win this. Yeah. It's really difficult to explain.
Yeah, but it's almost like a thrill thing, though.
It is,
isn't it?
mate.
It is that kind of. It's the same. Like, fair. Obviously, it's a bit more instant than like buying a lottery ticket or something like that. But it is that like the what if. Like your mind runs. I avoid buying. I mean, obviously, I'm not to that level that obviously you kind of got to. But if I buy a lottery ticket in my head, this probably says more about me than it does about anything else, but like, it's like I'm convinced I'm going to win.
Yeah.
So if you're kind of getting that, like it's the thrill of the chase.
Yeah.
And then when it's not quite hitting,
Yeah.
obviously you are going to be like, well, maybe next time I do it,
Yeah.
I'll get that outcome.
Yeah. And the thing I missed out there, sorry, was I had a win at college, my second year of college when I was 18. I won £4,500 off £2.
Wow.
So I went to collect the £4,500 from the bookies. And back then they said they used to give it you in an envelope and pay you straight out, or they'd say, come back because the safe works on a timer. So not anyone can just open it. They paid me out. And for some reason, I wanted to walk around with £4,500 cash in my pocket everywhere. Like, even if I was going somewhere where I didn't necessarily need the money, I'd walk around with it in my pocket. Don't know why, but I wanted to create this perception that I was this successful kid that had loads of money. And I lost it all within 4 weeks. From winning that £4,500 at 18, I went back every day without fail. Yeah. Might have been a different bookies every now and then, until a big wad of cash because they paid it out to me in tenner, so it was like that. Yeah. And give it all back to one within the space of like 3-4 weeks. Shortly after that, when I started uni, and I was so it might have been first year of uni. I was 21. My granddad called me up. He had a stocks and shares ISA for me. Now I didn't have a great relationship with my dad when I was younger. We get on now, civil, but he lives down in Cornwall. And with all the other grandkids, my granddad had rang their parent and said, do they need the money now because they're 21, they can take it, they're looking at houses, they're looking at cars, etc. And 2 of the grandkids that were older than me took theirs. Then when my granddad rang me direct because he knew I didn't speak to my dad. Yeah. And he said, are you looking at houses or anything at the minute? And I said, yeah. And he had 12,300 quid for me when I was 21. Wow. I lost it in a week in the casino, 5 days. I remember I went in there. It took about 2 weeks to get the money because you have to. Hargreaves and Lansdowne's like a investment platform that they manage the investments for you. So he gave me all these passwords. Took about 14 days, 2 weeks ish to get the money into my account. And it was just gone in 5 days, mate. And I remember thinking, 21, I've just lost 12.5 grand. Lost 4.5 grand just before that. So my student loan I've pretty much wasted on gambling as well.
What does that look like then? Because from the outside looking in, like if from a parental point of view, or even just from a friend point of view, if my friend or son or daughter or whoever all of a sudden had this amount of money, was there like an element of like question it there, or did they not know?
I don't think I told anyone.
Wow.
I don't even think my mum knew that I had that off my little granddad.
Yeah.
She did find out later down the line.
Yeah.
But I don't think she knew at that time.
So that's a lot to be carrying for a 21-year-old. It's a lot of loss.
And then, a lot of loss. And then a few months after that, I ended up pulling out of university because I pretty much exhausted my student loan. Spent a lot of it on gambling for the two and a bit years I was there. I'd lost that stocks and shares ISA. And there was a load of things that sort of accumulated together at the same time. I had a bad ACL injury, which meant I couldn't do the practical side of sport when I was at uni. I was stuck in the classroom. My partner I was with at the time, went to school with her, college with her, university with her, then we split up. Yeah. So there was loads of different factors contributing to it. But in the end, I didn't even tell my mum. I just walked out of the classroom and never went back. And obviously I had that student loan that I needed to pay back. And a couple of mates said to me, get into recruitment because you're good at talking shit. Those are her actual words. Like these big companies, and back then, mate, it was they'd chuck a pen at you and say, "Sell me the pen." And I was a bit like,
I hate that.
Oh, mate, it was awful. And then started in recruitment, and obviously with recruitment job comes good earnings. Yeah. Once you've established yourself, and betting just carried on, and the more money I earned, the more my stakes would increase, and it got to a point in 2016 where my reaction was to just start punching myself in the head. Yeah. And I talk to students about this now, and every time I mention it, someone will go, and I get it because if someone said that to me, I'd be a bit like, what? Yeah. And it's took me a long time to be able to. But
it's also I imagine it's the frustration. It's almost like the build up of anger.
But what I found is I spoke to a counsellor for a little while about my mental health and stuff like that from gambling. And because I wasn't opening up and talking about things, so realistically, I could have approached my mum at 20, 21 and said, things are going down the wrong sort of path here. But instead of that, mate, I was too afraid of what she might say, how she might perceive me as like an addict. I didn't want people thinking I was a gambling addict, because back then gambling addiction wasn't looked at as it is today.
Yeah.
It was a bit like, we'll just stop gambling.
But at that point, did you even consider yourself to be, because addict's a big word.
Yeah.
Like it's like if you add that as a label to anything, it's automatically comes with a negative feeling
Yeah,
or
bang on,
like
mate.
a view. So even like, you know, you're a young lad, you're going through that like adulthood, you know, which is difficult at any level, like from a, I guess like puberty and all that kind of stuff, like figuring out who you are, to then add layers of loss to all this almost secrets that then are kind of building up. Was there an impact on your mental health? Because obviously even back then I didn't know what mental health really was until about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So we're talking quite a substantial amount of time back then.
I didn't class myself as an addict.
Yeah.
Maybe deep down I knew I was, but I would be quick to remove that label if anyone ever mentioned it. I could stop if I wanted to. I couldn't. But then what comes with that is you start gambling secretly. You stop going out to social events because you're sitting at home gambling, or you're in the bookies. And that's when I first started getting anxiety, mate. I never really knew what anxiety was. I just used to get a tight chest before I was going places, and I'd be like, what the fuck's up with me?
Yeah.
And then, like you said, as mental health's come to the forefront over the last few years, last 5-6 years, whatever it's been, it's helped me understand that a little bit more. But yeah, the counsellor was saying to me, because you aren't opening up and talking about your problems, your way of dealing with things is just to let it build up, and then you let your aggression out. Yeah. And I'd go downtown and get nicked for fighting, or I'd play rugby and get sent off, or I'd start punching myself in the face, or I'd chuck a laptop at the wall, or I'd smash a bus stop up in town, or just behaving like a yob, not really understanding why I'm behaving like that. And then obviously when I spoke to that guy, he was great actually. He helped me understand it all a little bit more.
What was the turning point? So obviously you're very open about it now, but was there like a rock bottom or a turning point to be like, something is actually really wrong here, I need to do something about it?
I seen an article in the Telegraph just before lockdown about a guy called Jack Ritchie, who was 24 years old, and he went to Thailand and committed suicide. So he went to work I think he was teaching English in Thailand, 24-year-old lad, come from a well-off background, well-educated, good guy, etc. And I read this article about him, mate, and it sounds, I don't know how to describe it, but anyway, I read this article and it was literally like reading about myself. But I was the fortunate one, so I was still here. Yeah. And I tell students that I never had suicidal thoughts, but I did have times where I'd lose money and think, I don't want to be here anymore, which is suicidal thoughts, I suppose. And it was literally, he started gambling, I think it was 16, so similar age to when I started. He'd have fallouts with his family or friends over it. He was losing money, he was taking out loans. There were so many different points of this article that resonated with me. And
it was almost as if someone was holding up a mirror.
Yeah, pretty much, mate, yeah. But almost saying that this is what can happen if you carry on. Basically, what I did from there is made me probably reflect a little bit first and thought, hang on a minute, how have I studied sport at college for 3 years, university for 2.5 years, played county sports for rugby and cricket, but not one person has ever spoke to me about gambling. Not one. Not one. No one's come in externally to the college, to the university. The clubs have had no one in. And for me, I thought, for one, that's not right, because I knew it weren't just me. I could name you 100 people that struggle with gambling that I know well. So it's a very common problem, but we don't seem to be doing much from a preventative measure to make sure it's not. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think it's because it makes so much money?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest tax contributors in the country in terms of the sector. But just you know what I'm like, mate. I go off on a tangent all the time.
It's all good. All good.
Just going back to when you're like reading that article, what I did then was I got in touch with a company called Rightly, who are specialists in like GDPR and data. And they effectively said to me, if you give us your email address, all your passwords, your passport, we can go out to every bookmakers and we can request like a P&L, profit and a loss. From the time you had the account, were you up or were you down? And I did that. Loads of them get back in touch with you and say, you can't do it for a third party, but can you answer this secret question? When you're an addict and it's asked you what your fucking first rabbit was called. Yeah. Jeffrey. I didn't even have a rabbit. You just type any old shit to get an account. And because I couldn't answer some of the questions, some of them still haven't given me my information. But it come back after about 6 months. It was 263 grand that I'd lost between the ages of 18, that's when it could count, to 29.
So that's
just over a quarter of a million pound, yeah. I remember one year I did 68, 69 grand at work. I had a big bonus at the end of it because obviously I was in recruitment and I was managing a team, so you were paid on performance as well. And that same year, I couldn't get a mobile phone contract for £32 a month. I'd earned 67, 69 grand. My credit report, when I looked into it, because I didn't care. I used to get letters through, you got a default on your credit report. I'd take an overdraft out, £1,000 overdraft. I'd gambled £1,000. And then instead of paying the overdraft off, I'd pretend it didn't exist and go set another bank account up.
But also no one teaches you these things.
No. Oh, mate, I'll tell you one thing that shocked me. Whether I go to a professional football club, a college, a university, not many students are able to articulate back to you what a credit report is, what interest is, what money management is. Which I think's worrying, bro.
But it is worrying. But even now, as adults, with the generation that I think, obviously, that we grew up in, I was never sat down and told, like, well, you need to pay this on this bet, on this day, this, that, and the other. Yeah. Otherwise, this is what could happen. Yeah. So it's now you're almost dealing with like a generational. I don't want to say it's trauma because it's not trauma, but like a generational something. I can't think of the word where you're like, well, now I'm going to have to teach myself how to do all these things. Yeah. It's like I was self-employed for a little bit before I started doing this. It's like I didn't have a clue about tax. Yeah. And then it wasn't until like I took away and then went back into like a proper full-time employed role that I was like, oh, I didn't, almost forgot that I had to pay tax. And it was like I had to find £1 to pay it off. But no one teaches you these things. Not that it's an excuse, but like no one did teach me that. Yeah. So I only know what I know.
Yeah. And I sort of say now that, listen, by me saying that nobody ever came in and spoke to me about it, it's not me trying to blame anyone else because I can take full responsibility on my own shoulders. But surely there has to be something which is compulsory. I'm not saying necessarily primary school, but there should be something that's compulsory when you get to year 8, year 9, year 10, around that sort of time, which gives you an introduction. And I'm not just talking about gambling here. I'm on about the financial side of it as well, because if I'm going out and doing a session with 40, 16, 17-year-olds and none of them can tell me what interest is, I mean, surely they're the important things that people do need to know as they get older.
£250,000 is a phenomenal amount of money. Now you're in a position to kind of like, you are educating people. You're in a much better headspace. Yeah. How does it feel now knowing that that was the amount? Well, that you know of.
For the first 6 months, I couldn't believe it. If someone would have asked me how much money you lost, I'd have said, over 12 years, 100 grand, 10 grand a year maybe. I had no idea, mate. Now, I don't care now. And I know that sounds weird and people will probably think, of course you care, it's 263 grand. I don't, because that's what Against the Odds is about. People think Against the Odds is about me coming in and saying, don't gamble. No one should gamble. But carry on gambling. 47% of the country gamble once a week, adults. And a large proportion do it socially. And by socially, I mean they can go to the casino for a bit of fun with their friends. If they lose, they don't wake up 3 a.m. and have to put a bet on. Yeah, it was difficult at the start, but my one regret is not opening up when I was 18, 19 and having that conversation and preventing that from happening and just being honest with the situation. Yes, losing that money is not great, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah. Money comes and goes, and
it's an interesting one, isn't it, regret? Because if it's like, yes, we can regret, and if we go back, like, oh, it's that question, like, if you could go back and change anything, would you? But if you hadn't have gone through that, I mean, we probably wouldn't have ever met and having this conversation now. Yeah. Against the Odds might not have ever existed.
Yeah, it wouldn't have.
And it's almost like, I know obviously you're obviously very successful like with the recruitment, but I feel like Against the Odds is where the purpose, that's what you were born to be doing, to providing that education to the next generation so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, I think so, mate. And like you, when we're talking off camera, sometimes I think I can come across overly confident, which looks a bit arrogant. And that's just me believing in myself. Like, I know that in 3 or 4 years' time, Against the Odds will be the go-to for gambling education in this country. I know it will. And that's not me trying to sound cocky, mate, but we are doing things completely.
But look what you've done in such a short period of time. Yeah. Like, the impact that you've had. I have no awareness of, like addiction or, like, gambling or anything like that. I've never really, I've never gambled other than, I mean, I went all the way to Vegas and didn't. Because I don't understand it.
Oh, I've got Vegas. But, I'll tell you all the time.
everything I know about this kind of industry now is down to you guys.
Yeah.
So it's like, even now, like if I'm having conversations like out and about, it's that constant referral, like, well, you need to speak to these guys, look what these are doing. So if that's having an impact on someone who hasn't been affected by something that you have been through or like what you're standing for, imagine the impact it's going to have on the people that are going through, whether it's the start of their journey, they're in the middle of the journey, or even the people at the end of their journey who want to make a difference just as much as you do.
Yeah.
So I genuinely, like, and I mean this, like this is a start of something phenomenal. And you know it, you've just said it.
Yeah.
You don't need me to kind of tell you that, but like, I'm very, very excited to be like a very small part of this journey with you, because I've got nothing but respect for everything that what you're doing.
Legend. And I think just to sort of back up what I'm saying, in case people are listening and think,
we're in with the facts. Go on.
This isn't. I don't like using the word competition, because at the end of the day, you're working in a lived experience market, which is a very difficult market, and you're doing the job to benefit and help others. Yeah, money is still a big driver for a lot of us, but at the end of the day, if we can stop people gambling at an earlier age, or get them to identify what gambling harm looks like before they're a full-on gambling addict, then that's the aim of the game, regardless of what the company is. But I just feel that we're doing things differently to everyone else, and what I mean by that is we've got an organic social following. We're building a community. 16 to 24-year-olds is our target demographic. 16 to 24-year-olds, I don't care who you are, you've got a social media account. If you look at the big players within gambling education and awareness, the followers aren't real, the likes aren't real, there's no engagement from... Do you know what I mean?
You see it from a social media, not social media, from a mental health point of view.
It's ridiculous.
It really infuriates me.
And don't get me wrong, I do get it, because 16 to 24-year-olds are not going to want to go on to a gambling education and awareness social media account, follow it, and constantly be reminded of different things about gambling addiction and suicide rates and how to identify, because they'd find it boring. I'd find it boring. Yeah. Even when I was gambling, I wouldn't want to follow that. So that's why we're doing things differently in terms of the relatability. So we've teamed up with Luke 1977, who are a big Birmingham brand, to bring out a home and away shirt every year. So we're tying a sort of a fashion element into that and bringing football kits into it. We then got the podcast, we've got the awareness club, we've got the online store. So we're trying to do things differently, mate, to just the normal, go out there, speak to students, and that's it, we've done our job. We've got, like, I think our conversion rate from when we go into the academies and work with your Barnsley, Sheffield Wednesdays, Wigans, etc., 50% of the students will convert to followers on our Instagram account, which for me means a lot. And a lot of them will then reach out to me after. Always happens, bro. You say at the end, any questions?
Nothing.
One hand might go up, and they'll ask me about something I've already told them. But then 3 or 4 days after that, I'll get a load of follows on Instagram. I'll get some messages from some of the lads. I've kept in touch with a lot of the lads that I've gone out and worked with, and that's the big bit for me. It's knowing that if they have got a gambling problem, they know my DMs are open. They know they can come to me. They haven't got to ring a number where they don't really know the person on the other side of on the other line. They've already met me.
Yeah.
They know my circumstances. I've sat there for an hour and been upfront and honest about my entire journey and how I don't want that to have the same impacts on them if they should start gambling.
You're a huge Villa fan. Obviously, you've just been away in Madrid, Lille, and with that, obviously, being in that environment, how do you approach that now? Was it, or even when you first step away from gambling, to continually to be in that environment, was that difficult? And even do you go with mates who still gamble, and how do you navigate that?
I don't even notice the gambling adverts there anymore.
Wow.
Which is, I never thought I'd say that. It used to absorb so much of my time, mate, at the football. Or if I was at a live sporting event, I remember being at a boxing match and sneaked to the toilet to whack 500 quid on someone without my partner at the time knowing. Lost, got knocked out in the second round. I'm thinking, that's 500 quid gone. I couldn't even afford that. But it is difficult. It was difficult, at the start of the football. I mean, if you look at the stats, so I think it's 75 to 89% of a game on TV, you can see gambling logos. 18 to 25% of a football stadium in the top 4 leagues in England is under 18 on average. And there's gambling logos everywhere. I seen a gambling logo the other day and thought, I've never seen that. Now, for me to properly be able to go in and educate students, it's important that I have to go on the gambling site sometimes to
Yeah.
look at things. But I don't get the triggers that I used to get.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how, I'm not sure why. And the first question whenever I do podcasts or go on the radio is, so how did you stop? I don't know. I never thought I'd be able to stop, but it's almost, and I think I said this to you before, it sounds very cliche, but I'm almost now addicted to the business.
Yeah.
Getting the business off the ground. I'm always like, Mrs. probably hates me sometimes because I'm very much one of them people that once I'm on something, I'm on it, mate.
Yeah.
You cannot escape gambling in this country. You could go on social media and you haven't got a choice but to see a paid partnership for something that's gambling related. When there's a big football match on, there's even been an advert space now created 2 minutes before kickoff that never used to be there, just so the gambling companies can get one more advert in. So it's hard, man. It's really hard.
And I suppose because that to me, like, I would watch that and I would not think anything of it. But until having these kind of conversations with you and being like aware of what you've been through and what you do and what everything that Against the Odds stands for, even now I'm like, there is actually no escape from this.
None.
Even recently, I can't remember the betting company that they're under a lot of fire because it was like the adverts were like, your casino's on the bus or something. It was like,
Yeah, that was, I seen that the other day. That was, who's the mayor, Adi Khan?
yes, yeah.
Got that right?
Kicked off about it, didn't he?
Well, he was the one that said 3 years ago, we will make sure there is no gambling advertising on the London Underground.
Yeah,
And then the other day there was,
everywhere.
yeah, London Underground on a black cab. Same with the football though, mate. Remember when there was a big kick-off last year? We don't want football logos on the front of shirts. In the end, it went to a vote. They let the Premier League clubs vote on it.
Yeah.
And they voted, no, we don't want it on the front of the shirt. But from the 26-27 season, even though they can't be there, they can go on the sleeve or the back.
Yeah.
So it's just covering cracks up, mate.
Which, if you think about it, if you're watching a game of football, they're not facing the camera.
No.
You're not going to see face on what's
Yeah.
on the front of their shirt.
Yeah.
You're going to see what's on the arm. You're going to see what's on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Because they're running from one end of the pitch to the other.
And I get it because football's it's a business, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the gambling industry are paying significantly more than any other sector to go on the front of that shirt. If you're a brand, if you're a business, to get on the front of a Premier League football shirt will get you more exposure than anything else. It's the most watched sports league in the world. I think it's in something like 212 different territories. It's just massive, mate. And that's what I was saying to you earlier. I seen a company come up the other day and thought, I've never seen them. Went online. They're advertising on the side, on the billboard of a Premier League game, an English game, but you're not allowed to. If you live in England, you can't bet on there. You had to be in Asia or somewhere. So it's just like, just shows you how big the Premier League is. Because even though it's an English league, you've got companies that are putting their advertising revenue into that, so they can be seen in other countries. It's just mad.
It's dangerous.
It
is what it is.
It is.
If there is someone listening to this now who, you know, might not be aware of like the work that you do, but is listening to this, I've heard like the stats, they've heard like almost like you did when you read that article, like they could relate to certain parts of like your story.
Yeah.
What would be the advice that you'd give them?
Sounds bad because I don't like saying this, but not to gamble. Because you're not putting yourself in that position. However, that's not the message and that's not what Against the Odds is about. So I'll take that back. Against the Odds is about two things. It's got two purposes. To help students identify, help students open up early on when they have issues and have the confidence to talk about them. And secondly, to be able to identify the transition of social gambling to gambling-related harm. What would I say to anyone that has a potential gambling problem or that started gambling, sorry?
So even from like a mental health point of view, that like has been in that stage of like, even if like they need like an outlet or something, just so they don't get to that point of those kind of thoughts.
Yeah, to talk to someone, mate. Because if you leave it to sort itself, it's not going to happen. Because there's not enough measures in place to make that happen. And by that, what I mean is like when a gambling advert comes on, the sort of disclaimer, the health and safety part is, be gamble aware.
Yeah.
What the fuck's that?
Yeah.
No, when I was an addict, mate, if I heard that, make sure I beware.
Yeah.
Bollocks, mate, bollocks. So being confident to open up and discuss things, which a lot of the time is the hardest thing to do. But if you can do that, then it's going to be beneficial to you.
Yeah.
What I don't want, and that was probably why I was big on setting it up and getting out there and delivering to as many students as possible. So they can see firsthand what's happened to me. And I was someone that enjoyed social gambling underage, and then it suddenly become too much. But I didn't deal with it. I waited 10 years to deal with it and then sorted it out. So, yeah, as I said earlier, my big regret was not opening up. It wasn't necessarily the money I lost. So that would be my one bit of advice. And if you haven't got anyone to open up, againsttheodds.uk on Instagram, I tell everyone, if there is anyone if anyone has to get something off the chest, talk about gambling, has a question about gambling, our DMs are always open, and that's why we're there.
But before I dive into like the end, like my last few questions, I want to talk to you about Against the Pods.
Yes.
Because I'm very fortunate. I've heard the first episode.
Yeah.
And genuinely, I'm so excited. I don't think I've been this excited about podcasting since I started the Waffle. Because that first episode, even the pilot, like, genius.
Oh, we were terrible, weren't we?
No, it was good. It was really good. But that first episode, the way you and Conor like articulated yourself, like everything about it, like, and I want like, I feel like you needed to hear that.
I did, mate. I probably did, like, to be honest.
In that group chat, I can almost feel the nerves sometimes coming through in the messages. But mate, you're on to a winner, and I genuinely mean it from the bottom of my heart. Like, I'm so honoured to be a part of this in such a small capacity. And
top man.
I think by the time this goes out, the trailer will be out.
Whoa,
so we'll link that in. But if not, the episode might be out. We're still yet to figure that out.
True.
But yeah, it's going to be a very big year.
We've literally got all the guests lined up, which is brilliant. We've got another 5 to go. We've sort of give Conor that's Conor's remit, really, looking after the pod in the short term. But yeah, I'm on a few radio stations and doing an article with, I think, the Birmingham Mail next week. So we're trying to get some exposure out there about it to make sure that, and really the whole idea of the podcast is to give a platform for people who may struggle with gambling, may know somebody or live with somebody that struggles with gambling, or someone that has an interest in addiction or the industry, really. And it was to create more of a relatable platform for that, to, again, going back to what we said, to try and help people maybe open up that have issues or maybe seek help that need help by giving our version of our events, what's happened to us, and then obviously the career of the guests and the story of the guest as well. So yeah, it's been sick.
There's a lot of layers there as well. And and I'm going to say this from someone who I've never really experienced gambling addiction or addiction in like a certain form that you guys have. But it's not just the gambling, like the addiction part in this podcast. Like, obviously it's the core of it, and like people are opening up about their journeys. But what I wasn't expecting from, especially the first episode, was the impact and the ripple effect of like not just the mental health, but it was the friends, it was the family, it was the relationships, it was all these kind of breakdowns that whether you relate to gambling addiction or not, there is going to be something there for everyone that they can learn something from. And it completely blew me away. Like there's a part in it, and I'm not going to ruin it for anyone, but the way that you delivered a certain part of that podcast, genuinely, I was like,
you know, after you told me,
I almost got a little bit.
I watched it back and I was a bit like,
honestly, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to shut this studio.
And then we finished, and you went, feel like you haven't done the ending any favours there.
Yeah, I was like, we had to bring you back down to earth. Just had to bring you back down.
But yeah, mate, we really enjoyed episode 1, and looking forward to getting the next few episodes done as well, man.
No, it's all coming
together.
Thank you. So I've got 3 final questions for you. One, before I dive into those questions, actually, sorry, I want to share with you one of my favourite songs. And when I hear it now, like I actually really think of you in like not in a weird way. But it's Shit on the Villa. And as my dad was in the Legion, so as you can imagine, my childhood was brought up like normal people had, like Bar Bar Black Sheep and stuff. My nursery rhyme was Shit on the Villa.
Wow. I mean, the fact that song now reminds you of me. Excellent. Mate, that is a song, being a Villa fan from Cov, that is a song I've had to listen to for all the, if I'm out just with the lads in the pub, and there's 10 of us there, someone will start Shit on the Villa off. Then the whole pub's singing it.
It is catchy. You can't deny it.
You know what, mate?
It is catchy.
It's when you change it to City, it's catchy. I don't necessarily find the Shit on the Villa very catchy. But it's probably because I've overheard it for
Shit
many
on
years.
the no, because I feel like that sounds like you can't say something properly.
No, that's a song. Shit on the City.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, I've never heard that.
But
one.
we're referring to Birmingham City, not Coventry.
Oh,
so
right,
Coventry
okay.
hate
Me getting all
Villa.
defensive. Little whack you.
Coventry hate Villa. Villa hate Blues. Villa don't really hate Cov.
Yeah.
But there's a sort of a tie there because we sent them down in whatever year
Yeah.
it was and stuff like that. But
Don't even get me started on Millwall. Oh God! Right, 3 final questions.
Yep.
So one, obviously, we talk about music and like the songs that have kind of been there. I'm switching it up recently because not that we're at the end of our journeys, but I feel like recently the people that I'm speaking to, they're ready to close a certain chapter of their life and they're opening up a new one and they're going in a completely different direction or a really new, exciting one. So I find it very fascinating about like the songs that have soundtracked the journey. But if there was a movie made of your life, what song would be playing at the end credits?
I've got 2. I know.
Weekly
Well, my
Waffles.
my karaoke song is Arctic Monkeys When the Sun Goes Down.
Yeah.
I've performed that many times. So I just feel like that's a song that means a lot to me. And I'm a huge Alex Turner and
Yeah.
Arctics fan as well. So I would probably have that song in. But I've got lyrics on this arm here, which was one of the first tattoos I had, which I bet you ever heard of the Smiths?
Yeah.
There's a song by Morrissey and the Smiths called There Is a Light That Never Goes Out.
Oh, that just gave me chill, that did.
And if a double-decker bus crashes into us, to
Do you know
die by
what?
your side, that one.
Yeah, there's this is gonna sound really weird, but one of my best mates in their toilet, they have a print of the lyrics on the side of a double-decker bus.
Oh, do they?
I mean, on a print, not like they haven't got like a bus in their toilet. They're not,
Yeah, I'd one of them too, I'd go.
yeah.
Big Smiths fan, I love that song, and a huge
Okay.
Arctic Monkeys fan. So one of the two.
Okay.
Or you
respect
could remix them into one and it, you know what I mean?
that. None of us have got musical talent on here. I've just heard you sing and like, I'm just. To be fair, I can't imagine it takes you a lot. And to be fair, it's going to be the same answer as the first one. But like, is there a song that is guaranteed to get you on the dance floor?
I can't remember the last time I was on a dance floor. The last time I remember being on a dance floor, bro, the tune dropped, yeah, and I was, you know, when you get caught in that,
Yeah.
how do I move to this?
What is this?
Oh, I'll go and have a drink over there. Mate, I'm into Afro beats at the minute.
Oh, okay.
I'm loving Afro beats.
Well, like Rima, is it Rima?
I don't know who that person is, but I'm
You know what I mean?
Just-
calm down.
yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
what. Yeah.
What song gets me on the dance floor? Yeah, it'd be an Arctic
Yeah.
Monkeys tune.
Yeah.
Despair in the Departure Lounge, No Buses, Mardy Bum.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just a huge Arctics fan, mate. The Arctics get me up every time.
Yeah.
So sorry, I'm not answering your questions.
No,
very
it's
well
all
here.
good to fair, mate. The rest of it's gold. These are just like filler questions.
Oh, sound.
Final question.
Yeah.
If there's a song that you'd quite like to put in a box, wrap in chains, kick to the bottom of the ocean, and never hear again, what would it be?
Aqua, Barbie Girl.
Okay. You
Remember
said that.
it?
You said that with your chest. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just because I don't know why, but my auntie who lives in Denmark, my mum's sister, sent me that one Christmas, and she will listen to this as well.
Why?
Oh, I did.
Okay.
I was between 8 and 11,
Yeah.
and I'm still a bit unsure.
Yeah.
So she does like everything on
Okay.
social media. So Auntie Julie, if you want to
Yeah,
comment,
get in touch. I'd love to know the thought process.
post in the comments and let us know why you bought me that.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably just more confusion to why I ever
Yeah.
received that CD.
I love the fact that it was like all these years later, you still do not have the answers.
I put it on. I played it the other day and thought, why have I put this on?
Yeah.
But that song is just
Triggered.
that song. I've just thought, that would be one of them tunes.
Mate, this has been a long time coming.
Yep.
Obviously, I feel like you're part of the furniture now, but I can't thank you enough, obviously, for sharing your journey and being part of mine now. So I really appreciate you joining me today for a waffle.
Legend. Appreciate you having me, mate.
One final thing.
Yeah.
I've got a message from someone
Oh God.
who wants to say thank you for being such a big fan.
Go on.
And it's from Cher Lloyd.
Oh, you haven't. You haven't.
I don't know how to quite.
You haven't managed to do this. He's an idiot, Conor is.
No, I'm joking.
You haven't? I was going to say no. I did like Cher Lloyd, though. I was a big fan, mate. I used to watch her audition.
I tried. I genuinely really did try.
I'd have been fuming.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, no.
That's why I'm actually really gutted because, ghosted.
Imagine if you pulled that out then. Yeah, I'm not sure why Conor said I like that song.
I couldn't pull it out on my phone because she's here.
But yeah, I am a Cher Lloyd fan.
Respect it.
Yeah.
Respect it. Nah, thank you, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Mate, I appreciate you and thanks for everything you've done so far, bro. Top man.
Nah, it's all good. All good.
Up the villa.
Yeah, shit on them.